Get off my stage, street corner trash! The violinist's insult cracks across Royal Hall, bouncing off marble pillars and crystal chandeliers. Gasps shiver through pews that will soon seat dukes and tech billionaires. But no one moves to help the young black woman he has just shoved aside. Asha Bennett steadies the neck of her 1715 Stradivarius, the same instrument that won her a Grammy last spring. The maple scroll has cut her lower lip. Iron and rosin tinge the air. Around her, first-chair players turn glittering backs. Even the velvet curtains seem to recoil, as if the building itself agrees she has no pedigree. Royal Hall smells of lemon oil and old money. Portraits of powdered monarchs glare from the mezzanine, frames catching centuries of gate-kept genius. Asha's mother once mopped a theater like this, pretending the handle was a baton. That memory ignited Asha's promise that no child would inherit ceilings of glass and prejudice. Years of street busking, code writing for her fintech startup, and sold-out tours have carried her here. Yet, here she is, ordered to leave. The conductor, Sir Percival Whitcomb, taps his baton for order without glancing her way. Behind him, the orchestra restarts Tchaikovsky's serenade, every elegant note a polite dismissal. Their unity is flawless, their exclusion complete. Press photographers line the wings, hoping for scandal rather than symphony. One lens captures the bead of crimson on her chin. Another zooms on the faint scratch in the Stradivarius varnish, ready to post about a priceless relic under assault. Asha tastes their hunger. Disaster goes viral faster than triumph. But tonight she intends to feed them both, in the opposite order. For a breath, she is back at King's Cross, 14 years old, playing under sodium lamps for coins that barely covered winter gloves. Each passerby who hurried past taught her the acoustics of indifference. Tonight, those lessons return as armor thicker than marble, sharper than any critic's quill. Asha wipes the blood away and checks each fine tuner. The E string still rings true, so does her resolve. She squares her midnight blue blazer, tailored to look both royal and ready for battle, then steps back into the halo of rehearsal light. "Excuse me," she says, calm but unyielding, her accent a braid of Kingston and London. "I believe my sound check is scheduled for 3:15. Laughter blooms from the brass section. The violinist who shoved her polishes his bow as though her words are stray dust. In a balcony box, a security radio crackles. "Stage disturbance. Possible intruder." Asha listens to her heartbeat slow until it matches the hall's cathedral echo. Disturbance? She lets a smile curl. They have no idea what paperwork is already signed and on its way. She lifts the Stradivarius and draws a single sustained note. It fills the rafters with a bright, impossible prophecy. Crystal trembles. Gatekeepers flinch. Outside, unseen, a clock begins a 14-minute countdown to a rain they never saw coming. The solitary note still vibrates in the vaults when Asha lowers her bow. Chill disdain pours from gilt balconies, but the air tastes familiar fuel rather than frost. She turns one fine tuner a quarter twist, a ritual that steadies her pulse the way a boxer tightens gloves before round 2. A memory flares, the Grammy stage 5 months earlier, flashbulbs scattering confetti light while she thanked every curb, hostel, and open mic that sharpened her sound. "Don't bask," she told herself that night. "Convert." The same command rings now, louder than the orchestra's polished contempt. Inside her blazer, a muted vibration crescendos. Asha palms the phone. The lock screen shows a progress bar almost full. the silent witness to a year of covert negotiations. Roughly 13 minutes remain before a clerk in Mayfair stamps a lease that will outlive dynasties. Each passing second feels like a string being tuned a hair tighter, humming with potential snap. Sir Percival pauses the orchestra, announcing to the musicians with syrupy disdain that the rehearsal will resume when every seat is occupied by proper pedigree. His gaze glides over Asha, as if her outline were smudged on the lens of his world. She answers with a measured nod and glides toward the wings, boots clipping parquet in a tempo that declares retreat is voluntary, strategic. Reporters track her exit, lenses hungry for humiliation. A freelancer mouths the headline already forming, "From Subway to Snub." They will learn soon enough that the headline is missing its twist. In the corridor, the glow of antique sconces gilds her reflection. Coiled hair immaculate, blazer uncreased, chin marked by a faint drying cut, evidence not of fragility, but of impact. She taps her earpiece. "Henley, status?" Her barrister sounds breathless, yet triumphant. "Final signature obtained. The courier is en route to land registry. You will hold the keys well before the overture finishes." "Perfect. In 10 minutes, call building security and confirm the new chain of command." "Already drafting the note." She ends the call, pockets the device, and re-enters the light. On stage, the orchestra restarts Tchaikovsky, brass bright and indifferent. She lets their swell crest, then releases a harmonic so pure the first clarinet wavers mid-phrase. Heads pivot, bows hesitate. She strolls to the podium as if it belongs to her future, because it does. "Maestro Whitcomb," she says, voice dressed in velvet and steel. "Union protocol grants me a scheduled sound check." The conductor affects boredom. "Royal Hall honors heritage, not handouts." Asha lifts the Stradivarius to her chin, eyes gleaming. "Excellent. A Hall of Heritage should respect its own contracts." Somewhere high above, a chandelier quivers, catching a shift in atmosphere. Outsiders feel it too. 1,000 viewers on a discreet live stream notice the timbre change and begin typing in the chat, wondering why the maestro's baton suddenly trembles. 12 minutes, maybe 11, separate obsolete tradition from a storm already signed, sealed, and hurtling up the street. Asha's phone thrums against her palm as she steps back into center light. Less than 12 minutes stand between her and legal dominion over every gilded arch above. She draws a calming breath, feeling the Stradivarius warm against her collarbone, then raises her voice so every tear can hear. "Maestro Whitcomb," she repeats. "My rehearsal slot was booked and paid for. Kindly honor the schedule." The conductor's powdered profile tilts, disdain sharpened to a rapier point. "Royal Hall reserves its acoustics for artists of lineage, not aspirants." With a flick of his baton, he instructs 2 security guards to advance. Bows come to rest. Brass bells dim. The audience of musicians tastes the tension and goes silent, as though history itself is holding a breath. Asha offers no resistance while the guards flank her, but she lifts her phone, screen outward, so its glow washes across the first rows of music stands. A fresh push notification gleams in bold serif. Master-Lessee transfer, recorded proprietor, Asha Marie Bennett. The lettering is ordinary phone font, yet it strikes like a cannon. Gasps spiral through the orchestra. Pages of sheet music flutter as though a sudden draft has entered the hall. The first chair cellist murmurs, "It's real," unable to tear his gaze from the screen. Asha turns slightly, addressing not Whitcomb, but every camera lens and smartphone already pointed her way. If you believe art belongs to talent, not bloodline, show them right now, she says, voice resonant as an organ chord. Type the number 1 in the live chat or comments below. Let the record show how many people reject discrimination in all its disguises. Call to action. Drop a 1 if you stand against bigotry. In the mezzanine, reporters pivot to capture the avalanche of on-screen digits. Ones pour in from Lagos, Detroit, Kingston, Paris, their rapid scroll reflected in polished brass and crystal. Within seconds, the chat looks like a string of bright beads, impossible to ignore. The guards pause, reading the tide. The taller one lowers his hand from Asha's elbow. Whitcomb opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Whatever command he intended now sounds dangerously uncertain, even to him. The conductor's baton wobbles. Its authority erodes with every new 1 flashing in real time above the balcony rail. Asha meets his eyes, calm and absolute. The audience has spoken, maestro. Shall we play, or shall we litigate? Behind her, a stagehand in headset receives a whisper from building security. Protocols are being updated. Authority has shifted. 10 minutes, perhaps a touch fewer, remain before the ink on her deed dries beyond appeal. And in that shrinking window, the hall itself seems to awaken, readying for the music of a new order. A hush thicker than velvet falls when Asha lowers her phone. The projected river of ones still glows along the balcony rails, but Sir Percival Whitcomb snaps his baton for silence, jaw set in porcelain fury. Credentials aside, he pronounces, Royal Hall maintains artistic standards. You will leave this stage at once. Asha meets his gaze. Grant me 5 minutes to play 1 Paganini caprice. Judge me on sound, not surname. The conductor's lips curl. 5 minutes of circus tricks will not redeem street music. He flicks 2 fingers. The security guards momentarily hesitant step forward again. Their earlier doubt returns, though, as they catch the tremor in Whitcomb's hand and the restless shifting of musicians who have just seen their future landlord claim the deed. A stage manager hurries in from the wings, carrying a crimson envelope stamped with the hall's crest. She tries to pass it to Whitcomb, who waves her off. The envelope hovers in midair, the room's invisible center of gravity, before the manager retreats toward Asha instead. "Ma'am," she whispers, placing the envelope in Asha's outstretched hand. "Trustees asked me to deliver this immediately." Asha breaks the wax seal. Inside lies a single parchment, confirmation of the 99-year Master-Lease, countersigned by every royal steward. The wording is archaic, almost theatrical, but the meaning is plain. From this moment, the floor beneath their feet, the chandeliers above their heads, even the air wavering between Arco and Pizzicato, all fall under her stewardship. She raises the parchment so the orchestra can see the signatures. A low murmur ripples through the string section. A timpanist's mallets tap an involuntary roll of anticipation. Even members who mocked her minutes ago shift forward on their stools, sensing the tectonic plate beneath tradition begin to slide. Whitcomb clears his throat, tone suddenly diplomatic. "Miss Bennett, perhaps we might discuss rehearsal logistics in the boardroom, away from the press." "No," Asha answers, voice soft but immovable. "We discuss them here, in full view of every musician who has ever been told to wait outside." The guards pause again, reading the room. No one reaches for Asha's elbow this time. Instead, she lifts her violin, chin settling against worn maple, and nods toward the concert master. "Open your part to measure 1. Key of a minor. Follow my lead. The concertmaster hesitates, then places her bow on the string. Around her, colleagues lift instruments with tentative hope, as though responding to a conductor they have never seen, but already trust. The first note leaves the orchestra fragile, uncertain a baby bird pushed from its nest. Asha answers with a solo line spun of flame and silk, and suddenly the hall is flying. Whitcomb stands frozen, baton lowered, audience to a performance he no longer commands. From the front row, Malik, now seated in the platinum-edged chair A1, leans forward so far the ushers nearly warn him. His eyes shine wider than the chandeliers. Outside the tall windows, evening clouds drift, unaware that the balance of power inside has shifted forever. Inside, 9 minutes remain before the ink dries on a future no velvet rope can keep out. The music already sounds as if those minutes have passed. Asha's bow slashes the final triplet of Paganini's Caprice No. 24, and the note hangs above the audience like a burning ribbon. Before anyone can speak, she lowers the violin and, for the first time all night, lets her eyes sweep the hall. Front row, platinum-edged seat A1, the janitor boy in the oversized jumper. He sits on the edge of the cushion, fists jammed between his knees, face ablaze with belief. Seeing him here among peers of princes tightens something in Asha's chest, because his presence is the hidden hinge on which the coming hour will turn. Flashback, scarcely 20 minutes earlier. After Whitcomb's first order to expel her, the guards walked Asha along a service corridor smelling of polish and cold stone. That was where she spotted the boy, tapping a steel pan keychain against a plastic bottle, coaxing Caribbean syncopation out of janitor's odds and ends. He had glanced up in terror, as though caught stealing sound. Asha had knelt, asked his name Malik, and pressed a velvet envelope into his trembling hands. "Tonight you sit where your dream can see the stage," she told him. "Then dream bigger." Now, as the echo of Paganini fades, Malik's presence becomes the night's first unannounced variation. Cameras pan to him, puzzled donors lean forward, and the ushers trained to spot counterfeit tickets must reconcile the crest-embossed invitation with the boy's scuffed sneakers. The small disruption lands like a stone in still water, sending rings of unease all the way to the royal boxes. Sir Percival Whitcomb senses power drifting from his podium. "Thank you for the demonstration," he says, voice brittle. "We shall return to the scheduled program." But the orchestra's alignment has shifted. The concertmaster rises and speaks not to Whitcomb, but to Asha. "Your intonation and fire are beyond dispute. How would you like the ensemble to proceed, Ms. Bennett?" A murmur of agreement ripples through strings and winds. Even the brass, once quick to mock, watch her with something close to expectancy. Whitcomb's baton wavers, suddenly an antique relic in a modern storm. Asha answers with a quiet command. "Circle up behind me. First movement of Serenade for strings, but add 6/8 pulse under the melody. I'll lead." It is a bold, splice classical spine with Caribbean heartbeat, and its origin walks the janitor corridors. Musicians shuffle stands, some giddy, some nervous. Whitcomb attempts to object, but a trustee in evening tales steps from the wings, lease parchment in hand. "Sir Percival," he says, voice measured, "the board recognizes the new proprietor's interpretive prerogative. Kindly support or step aside." That is the twist. Authority transferred in ink moments ago now manifests in sound. The maestro, pale, yields his platform. Asha climbs it, bow raised. Malik clasps his ticket like a talisman, unaware that before this night is over, his rhythm will thunder beneath chandeliers none of his classmates have ever seen. As the first down bow carves the air, a sly smile touches Asha's lips. The fuse she lit in a forgotten hallway has found the gunpowder of tradition, and the next explosion will be music no lineage can contain. Cold winter air nips at Asha's cheeks as she steps onto the ivy-lined courtyard. Gas lamps flicker along rain-dark cobblestones, making each stone gleam like a freshly minted coin. 2 guards hover nearby, half sentinel, half witness to a page of history turning. Her phone buzzes with an incoming video call. On the screen, Barrister Henley appears, silk tie askew, eyes bright with victory. Land Registry has filed. Trustees have relinquished all operational control. Madam Bennett, you now hold Royal Hall until the 22nd century. Asha exhales, the breath pluming white. Execute Clause 17, she instructs. Convert every full-time employee into an equity partner and set tonight's ticket revenue share 10% into the Youth Instrument Fund. Henley nods vigorously. Clerks behind him break into applause as he ends the call. The cheer seems to ride the wind, brushing the courtyard's iron gates. Asha opens a public live stream, framing herself beneath stained glass windows that glow crimson with rehearsal light. "Hello, world," she says, voice steady as cathedral bells. "If you're watching from Kingston or Kinshasa, Oakland or Osaka, drop the name of your city right now. Let Royal Hall hear how wide music travels when walls fall." Call to action. Type your city or flag in the chat to show that art knows no borders. Within heartbeats, the screen erupts. Lagos, Paris, Nairobi, Atlanta, Rio. Digital confetti scrolls so fast the algorithm can barely keep pace. Those cascading names feel like drums inside her chest, proof that the hall no longer answers to a single island of privilege, but to an archipelago of listeners. She pockets the phone and turns to the guards. New management requests an escort back inside. They stand straighter. One keys his mic. "Control copy. Initiate zero-tolerance discrimination protocol. Ms. Bennett is to be treated as principal." Static crackles in agreement. As they guide her toward the service door, Asha pauses beside a storage closet. Through the cracked wood, she sees Malik's janitor cart, mop still wet from an unfinished task. She slides a gold filigree badge under the door. Stage All Access engraved above his name in looping script. On the reverse, she has etched 4 words: "See you at sound check." Inside the back corridors, fluorescent bulbs hum with a frequency that feels newly tuned. Staff members glance up from clipboards, realizing the hierarchy has changed overnight. Some offer shy smiles, others nod, as if they have been waiting their whole careers for this pivot. As Asha approaches the stage-left entrance, the orchestra's rehearsal falters, strings yawning into uneasy silence. Musicians sense a shifting barometer, the pressure of old power dropping, fresh air flooding the room. Even the chandeliers, once frozen constellations of caste, seem to glimmer in anticipation, ready to mirror a different sky. 5 short minutes ago, the deed was ink on parchment. Now it is a pulse in the walls, a tempo in every heartbeat. Asha straightens her blazer, lifts her Stradivarius, and steps forward knowing the next measure belongs to anyone bold enough to claim it. A hush settles as Asha crosses the threshold from service corridor to wings, but it is a charged silence, like air moments before a downbeat. A single nod to the stage manager, and every chandelier dims to candle glow. Conversation dies in the boxes. Instruments hover mid-bow. For 2 heartbeats, the hall seems to hold its breath. Then a ripple of cobalt LED crawls across the proscenium arch, weaving through centuries-old scrollwork. Letters sharpen out of pixels, spanning the width of the stage. Notice: Master-Lessee, transfer proprietor. Asha Marie Bennett. Gasps bloom row by row. Musicians twist in their seats. Donors crane their necks. Asha steps into the center light, Stradivarius resting against her side like a scepter. With each footfall, the floorboards appear to resonate, as though recognizing their new steward. Sir Percival Whitcomb swivels, baton frozen above the podium. "What cheap spectacle is this?" he demands, but his voice, once iron, now rings tinny against the swell of whispers. Before he can continue, a trustee in evening tails emerges from the wings holding the crimson lease parchment high. "The board acknowledges the validity of this transfer," the trustee declares. "All programming henceforth falls under the discretion of Ms. Bennett." A visible shiver passes through the first violins. Awe, relief, maybe both. Whitcomb's baton droops. He steps back, as if realizing a conductor's rostrum confers no authority when the hall itself has changed hands. Asha turns to the orchestra, her tone bright but commanding. "Friends, the audience awaits an overture worthy of a new charter. Take your seats, open serenade for strings, but feel free to color the syncopation. Tonight, heritage meets renewal." The concertmaster rises, grace tempered with resolve, and offers her chair. Asha declines with a small shake of the head. Instead, accepting the baton, Whitcomb still clutches in white-knuckled disbelief. She pivots, lifts the baton, and the house lights bloom to full brilliance, scattering diamond light across bow hair and brass. From the front row, Malik sits enthralled, access badge glinting at his chest. He mouths a silent thank you. The hall's elders notice him now, a janitor's jumper among silk gowns, and wonder how he slipped their nets. The answer waits in the margins of the score Asha is about to conduct. She beats 2 preparatory counts. Cellos answer with a warm drone. Violas add a whispered rhythm that hints at calypso. Woodwinds smile, catching the invitation. The fusion seems audacious, yet the hall's acoustics accept it gladly, throwing the sound back gilded and whole. Even Whitcomb cannot deny the vibrancy filling the rafters. As the first theme rises, Asha's left hand floats, shaping phrases the way wind shapes water. The music feels both ancient and newborn, like stained glass suddenly lit from behind by sunrise. Somewhere high among the chandeliers, dust motes spin in new constellations, as if the building itself is composing fresh harmonies in honor of its sovereign. Outside, the city traffic murmurs unaware, but within these walls a lineage of velvet ropes and whispered gatekeeping has been retuned. From this measure on, every note will testify that mastery resides in courage, not pedigree, and that a single violin can rewrite the echo of an empire. The last chord of the hybrid serenade dissolves to a hush, but the energy clings to every velvet seat like static. Asha sets the baton on the music stand, motions to the concertmaster to hold the stage, and slips through the side curtain into backstage corridors that still smell faintly of resin and fresh rebellion. In the green room foyer, the full board of Royal Hall trustees awaits her tailcoats immaculate, faces flushed with the shock of their own signatures. Asha places her Stradivarius on a velvet chaise, then opens the leather folio tucked beneath her arm. Inside lie addenda to the Master-Lease. Equal pay schedules, harassment zero-tolerance clauses, mandatory community concerts, and a profit share ladder that extends from principal violin to janitor. "I require countersignatures on each addendum," she says, voice cordial but immovable. Tradition is only valuable when it serves fairness. A stiff-backed duke clears his throat. "Miss Bennett, some of these provisions affect long-standing ledger assumptions." "Assumptions," she replies, "are excellent until reality audits them." She produces a fountain pen. "Shall we balance the books?" One by one, trustees bend to the folio, ink blooming like midnight roses across parchment. Each flourish of their pens feels less like concession than quiet relief, as though they too were tired of defending the indefensible. Next, Asha turns to the security captain hovering in the doorway. "Your team is now under direct contract with me. Anyone wishing to stay will receive a wage review and the same profit share as the artists. Anyone unwilling to treat every person here with dignity is free to clock out." The captain, a broad man whose earlier orders were all barked from Whitcomb's chain of command, meets her gaze for a long moment, then nods. "We'll stand with you, ma'am," he says, voice softer than his bulk suggests. Asha gestures to the break room tables hastily repurposed into a conference circle. "Musicians who spoke against discrimination earlier, please join us. We'll start renegotiating section pay before intermission." Players file in percussionist, oboist, second chair, viola, some carrying instruments, others carrying hope, still warm from the stage lights. Sir Percival Whitcomb appears at the threshold, expression a palimpsest of pride, panic, and something like dawning humility. "May I have a word?" "Of course," Asha answers, motioning to an empty chair. The maestro sits, shoulders no longer squared in defense, but sloped in reflection. Around the ad hoc council, coffee brews, contracts rustle, and centuries-old hierarchies shed their skins. Under fluorescent bulbs none of the donors or patrons can see, Asha slides blank staff paper into the center of the circle. "First agenda, design the inclusive concert series," she says. "One slot a month will feature talent chosen from underserved schools." A murmur of approval rises. Pens uncap. Ideas spark across genres and continents. Afro-Baroque mashups. Gospel meets Handel. Carnival symphonies. The guard who once escorted her out now positions himself at the door, not to bar entry, but to welcome latecomers. In a corridor nearby, Malik leans against a flight case, badge catching the glow. He presses play on a voice memo app, recording the distant hum of possibility proof that a hallway can be a hearth for revolutions. Back on stage, the audience waits, unaware that in a windowless room, power is being rescored, measure by measure, until every name in the program indicates not pedigree, but participation. 2 hours later, contracts lie signed in orderly stacks, steam from fresh oolong curls above teacups, and the musicians gather in a semicircle on stage for the formal announcement. Trustees stand behind them like newly conscripted witnesses to a different future. House lights brighten. Spectators who lingered after the unexpected fusion piece hush in anticipation. Asha takes the microphone. "We have ratified a compensation model that finally acknowledges artistic labor as a full partnership." Scattered applause grows into a rolling wave. She waits until it settles, then adds, "But true equity begins with access." She gestures toward Malik, now wearing a pressed white shirt beneath his jumper and clutching his steel pan keychain like a talisman. "This young man inspired the next clause," Asha continues. "Beginning immediately, 20% of every concert's seats will be free for students from low-income families. Additionally, each ticket purchased at full price triggers a matching fund that buys an instrument for a child who cannot afford one. We call it the Pay It Forward tier. A ripple of surprise runs through the hall. Even seasoned patrons straighten, calculating the impact on their customary boxes. Before doubts can ferment, Asha unveils the twist. To guarantee sustainability, the board has approved a micro-bonus pool for every musician who mentors new scholars. When the community grows, your earnings grow alongside it. Gasps turn to cheers not out of greed, but relief that justice can reward as well as rectify. The violinist who once shoved Asha steps forward, face flushed. He removes a silver tie clip and pins it to Malik's lapel. For courage, he manages, and steps back into the ranks. An unexpected hush follows, broken by the firm clap of Sir Percival Whitcomb's hands. The maestro, eyes luminous with something perilously close to humility, addresses the audience. I spent decades worshipping perfection and ignoring fairness, he says. Miss Bennett reminds us that one without the other is sterile. He turns to Asha and offers his baton not in command, but in service. The gesture, simple as a bow, redraws battle lines without a single note played. That is the twist. Instead of the mass resignation critics predicted, the orchestra doubles down, betting on a future where generosity fuels virtuosity. From the back row, a bassoonist raises her instrument and begins an impromptu riff on Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Strings pick up the harmony. Brass adds lift. The hall transforms into a jubilant jam, half gospel, half symphonic thunder. Malik's steel pan keychain clicks against a spare triangle handed to him by the percussionist. Its bright ping threads through marble and mahogany, an unplanned solo that stitches street pulse to royal acoustics. In that chiming moment, patrons realize the price of their ticket just purchased more than an evening's prestige it purchased tomorrow's overture. Two resonant taps of Asha's bow on the music stand call the hall to attention. House lights fade to indigo. A single gold spot pools around her feet. In the hush, she raises the Stradivarius, but instead of taking her place in the violin section, she climbs the podium, baton between her fingers like a new scepter. She turns to the orchestra. We open with Lift Every Voice and Sing Tempo Andante, key of G major, then pivot straight into Vivaldi's Summer Presto, she announces. Let the handoff feel like thunderclouds parting for sunrise. Heads nod, eyes flash. Even Sir Percival, seated among the cellos by choice, leans forward in curiosity. Asha's left hand carves a soft beat in the air. Cellos offer a slow gospel hum, low strings swelling into organ-deep warmth. The melody enters through clarinets gentle, beseeching, then gathers strength as horns and flutes join. Audience members who moments ago debated their legacies now rise, some placing hands on hearts, others clasping seat backs as if to steady themselves against a tide. Halfway through the refrain, Asha snaps the baton in a tight arc. A lightning-fast pizzicato from second violins answers. Timpani rolls like distant thunder. The gospel cadence accelerates, pivoting into a brisk triple pulse. Bow hair flashes white under the spotlights. Without a single verbal cue, the orchestra rockets into Vivaldi's Summer. The contrast electrifies the space. Violins unleash blistering 16th notes arrows of heat, slicing candle dark. Woodwinds swirl cyclonic around them. Brass, once reserved for pomp, now bellows like a brewing storm. The piece feels both baroque and freshly born, as though centuries have collided and forged a brand new alloy of sound. Malik, standing beside the triangle in the percussion corner, watches wide-eyed. During a brief lull, Asha signals him with a nod. He lifts the steel pan keychain, striking 3 crystalline notes that shimmer through the tempest like raindrops catching sun. The audience gasps. The sound is small, yet impossibly bright, threading Caribbean silver into Venetian gold. Up in the grand tier, donors clutch opera glasses, breaths suspended. Reporters scribble madly, trying to describe a performance that defies category. Camera phones rise like fireflies. Livestream comments explode with flames, hearts, prayer hands. No one remembers the term street corner trash now. They remember only how prejudice felt moments before this music burned it away. The final Vivaldi chord crashes, then cuts to absolute silence so sudden the chandeliers seem to tremble in the vacuum. A beat passes, then the hall erupts. Applause detonates, rolling back on itself in tidal waves. Patrons stomp polished floors, strings tap bows on wood. Brass players raise instruments in salute. Somewhere, a woman weeps openly. Asha lowers her arms, chest heaving, sweat shining on her forehead like dew on bronze. She meets Sir Percival's gaze among the cellos. He rises first, hands above his head in a standing ovation that crushes any last trace of hierarchy. One by one, the audience follows until Royal Hall is a single roaring voice, equal, indivisible, echoing the promise the music just made real. The ovation fades, replaced by an expectant hush that feels almost weightless. Asha stays on the podium but lowers the baton, eyes sweeping the ensemble. "We have one more voice to hear," she says, projecting without amplification. Every musician turns, wondering which world-class soloist she has hidden up her sleeve. From the percussion corner, Malik steps forward, feet scuffing nervously on the riser. The crowd sees him clearly for the first time. A boy in borrowed dress shoes and a janitor's badge that now reads Stage All Access. Whispers flicker across velvet rows. Who is he? Where's his instrument? But Asha offers him the spotlight with a gentle sweep of her hand. A stagehand rolls out a full-size steel pan, chrome gleaming like liquid moonlight. Malik's eyes widen. This is no toy keychain, but a professional tenor pan hammered to sing. He touches the rim, as one might touch stained glass. Asha kneels, adjusting his music stand to child height, then returns to the podium and lifts no baton. Only her left hand, palm steady. Strings lay down a soft, sustained D major drone, spacious as open ocean. Woodwinds add a slow gospel sway. Malik closes his eyes, inhales once, and strikes the pan. The note rings pure, radiant, lightly metallic sunlight skipping across water. He follows with a run of triplets that ripple like laughter breaking through clouds. The hall, built for aristocratic violins, receives this island timbre as if it has waited centuries for exactly this frequency. Patrons lean forward, mouths parted. Some realize their toes are tapping before their minds catch up. Asha cues the orchestra into a call and response. Violas echo Malik's line, flutes answer an octave higher, timpani thumps a heartbeat beneath. Malik's confidence grows. Wrists blur, melodies blossom, snatches of calypso, hints of freedom songs, even a teasing quotation of Rule Britannia, flipped from march to joyful skank. Laughter ripples through the boxes, not mockery, but delight at tradition lovingly rewired. Sir Percival, seated among the cellos, lifts his bow and weaves a counter-melody around the steel pan, smiling with genuine wonder. The moment feels impossible, yet inevitable. Royal hallboards and street rhythms stitching a single tapestry. On the final cadence, Asha signals for silence, leaving Malik alone to strike one clear tonic that hovers like a halo before melting into stillness. The hall erupts, roars, whistles, stomps far louder than before. Malik's face floods with disbelief. Tears track down his cheeks. Ushers rush to hand him a bouquet snatched from the lobby display. He clutches the flowers and bows so deeply his forehead nearly touches chrome. Asha steps beside him, palm to her heart. Talent, she tells the audience, needs only a door held open. Cameras flash, ensuring millions will witness the boy who crossed a mop bucket's horizon and landed center stage. And in that thunder of applause, the royal acoustics themselves seem to concede that greatness, once admitted, refuses ever to leave by the service door again. The echoes of Malik's steel pan linger like gold dust when Asha returns to the mic, baton tucked beneath her arm. A soft hush settles less the silence of order, more the hush of a crowd leaning forward, ready to change shape. She rests a hand on Malik's shoulder and turns him toward the audience, so they share the spotlight. Tonight, she begins, Royal Hall trades a fraction of its seats for an ocean of new voices. From this concert onward, one ticket in every 5 will be free for students from low-income families. Transportation vouchers, evening meals, even dress shoes if needed, the hall will cover it all. Murmurs ripple through the tiers. Some patrons nod, others whisper numbers, calculating budgets against legacy. Asha raises a calming palm. Culture expands, not shrinks, when everyone gets a front-row view. She gestures toward the orchestra. Second, each full-price ticket now funds an instrument for a child who cannot afford one. Violin, clarinet, steel pan, laptop for composition, whatever their dream requires. At the word instrument, Malik brightens the way stained glass ignites under sunrise. The trustees stand behind her, addenda held aloft like certificates of baptism. Asha offers them the mic. The chair of the board clears his throat. We endorse these provisions without reservation. Effective immediately. Scattered applause builds into a growing clap, reluctant hands joined by enthusiastic ones until the pattern resolves into unanimous support. Asha turns to the cameras, knowing tens of thousands are still streaming the night live. If you want young people everywhere to study music without price tags, tell us now. Type the word yes in the chat or comments. Let this hall hear the roar of opportunity. Call to action. Want free music education for all? Type yes below. Phones lift like lanterns. On screens, a river of yes surges, scrolling faster than any conductor could beat time. From Kinshasa to Kansas City, avatars pour agreement into the digital sky. Each chat bubble feels like a brick sealing a wall against backsliding. In the front row, a hedge fund manager rises, face flushed with unexpected fervor. I pledge a full scholarship endowment, he says. A second donor adds travel stipends. A fashion house CEO promises performance attire. The momentum snowballs. Ushers scramble to hand out blank pledge cards, their stacks vanishing faster than programs at opening night. Asha signals Malik forward. A violinist passes him a velvet box. Inside lies a custom miniature steel pan, chrome engraved with his name and the hall's crest. Tears fill his eyes as Asha clasps the gift chain around his neck like a medal. "You are our first scholar," she whispers. Above them, the chandeliers blaze brighter than opening cue, throwing shards of light across every seat. Rich or free. In that radiance, the walls feel wider, the ceiling higher, as if architecture itself stretches to fit all the yeses now echoing between marble and heart. Sunrise has barely touched London's skyline when the story detonates across continents. At 6 a.m. GMT, BBC Breakfast interrupts weather updates to roll footage of Malik's impromptu solo. The presenter calls it the sound that bent a monarchy to mercy. By 8, CNN and Al Jazeera loop the same clip, with lower third banners reading Royal Hall Reborn. Satellite vans swarm the courtyard. Asha stands on the marble steps, warm scarf over her blazer, Stradivarius case slung like a messenger bag. Flash bulbs strobe. But the questions are new. Not, why were you thrown out? Rather, how can other venues copy this model? She answers each in the same even timbre she uses on stage. Start by opening one door. The crowd will handle the rest. Social platforms ignite. On X, the hashtag #HatchMusicEyes. Human Right rockets past football scores and celebrity divorces to claim the global top spot. Within an hour, it spawns sister tags in Spanish, French, Yoruba, and Patois. TikTok teens stitch Malik's steel pan cadenza into drill beats and lo-fi study loops. Each remix adds a caption. From janitor's closet to royal stage, what's your excuse? Inside the hall, trustees convene an emergency PR huddle that turns, almost instantly, into a celebration. The board chair pushes aside silver coffee service to display overnight analytics. Ticket inquiries up 400%. Donor pledges doubling every hour. Sir Percival, invited as special advisor, proposes a Radical Roots concert series pairing orchestral staples with genres usually kept at street festivals. Nobody dismisses the idea. Asha moves among these pockets of newfound zeal, like a conductor balancing dynamic markings. She pauses at the glass doors overlooking Westminster and opens her fintech app Strad-Fund, still in beta. The dashboard refreshes, 32,000 micro-donations already logged, average gift $6, total nearly 200,000. She whistles softly. "That's 500 violins by lunchtime," she mutters, and tags the engineering team. "Launch public build today, skies ready." Her phone buzzes with a direct message request from Black Excellence magazine. Front cover profile. Global print run. Another buzz. A Ghanaian telecom offers bulk data vouchers for students attending future live streams. Even the London Underground tweets free off-peak fares for any child carrying an instrument case. Momentum, it seems, multiplies by the minute. Yet the morning's sweetest headline arrives by paper courier. The Times Special Edition. Hot ink scent curling off newsprint. Across page 1, an above-fold banner. Royal Hall leased by Grammy Maestra, access for all. Below, a color photo captures Asha guiding Malik's bow to the downbeat. The accompanying editorial reads, in part, "If nobility means elevating others, then last night crowned a new aristocracy founded not on birth, but on boldness." Asha folds the paper, slips it into her violin case alongside rosin and mute. Headlines are fleeting, she knows. The real symphony starts when cameras leave. Still, the ink feels heavy with promise, like the first crisp page of a score, no gatekeeper will ever redact again. Mid-afternoon sunlight slants across Royal Hall's rehearsal foyer, where rows of laptops now replace gilded flower arrangements. Asha stands behind a high table beside her CTO, a Kenyan coder named Wanjiku, both wearing plain hoodies over performance blacks. The mood is half Silicon Valley sprint, half Royal Press junket. Strad-Fund beta build is green-lit, Wanjiku announces, fingers flying. Push to public in 3, 2, deploy. On-screen confetti bursts over a dashboard that twitches like a pulse made visible. Asha taps refresh. Live users. 8,421. Average pledge. 6.32. Total raised. 53, 195. Then 54s, 67. Then 54s, 102. Each number flickers into the next, a flip clock counting instruments rather than hours. A clutch of reporters films the dashboard's climb, but the bigger story unfolds on a projection wall showing remote donors. In Sao Paulo, a teenager uploads a selfie holding a cracked clarinet caption. Strad-Fund me, and I'll learn Gershwin. In Lagos, 3 kids crowd a phone, cheering each fresh pound as though watching a football score. Asha cues a live stream Q&A. Every £5 buys 1 violin string set, she explains, voice equal parts CEO and mentor. 20 buys a refurbished trumpet, 200 gives a steel pan like Malik's. The boy appears beside her, shiny pan strapped over his jumper. Chat erupts with emojis and exclamation points. Suddenly Malik leans to whisper, eyes shining. Ms. B, the number just passed 100,000. Murmurs ripple through trustees who have never seen 6 figures arrive with so little paperwork. Asha nods at Wanjiku, who hits a macro. The dashboard zooms out, mapping donor pings as shooting stars across a dark blue globe. Asia, Africa, Caribbean, Midwest, each flash a microgrant turned mezzo forte. Sir Percival enters, carrying boxed sandwiches for volunteers. Gone is the powdered wig. In its place, a simple wool cap. He clears his throat. The maestro's lunch contribution, he says, cheeks pink, and sets the food down before returning to pack envelopes with pledge receipts. Cameras capture the moment. Social feeds caption it. Humility sandwich within minutes. A trustee approaches Asha. Your fund just broke our annual education budget in 4 hours, she says, half-dazed. What happens when the novelty fades? We pivot, Asha answers. Add master classes, build open-source sheet music libraries, subsidize data so rural kids can stream tutorials, whatever keeps the pipeline flowing toward the stage. The trustee studies the roaring dashboard. That could bankrupt ticket scarcity. That's the idea, Asha replies, eyes on the numbers still climbing. Scarcity, turned upside down, becomes abundance. The hall's marble echoes with the proof. By sundown, the total will top 250,000, but already the foyer hums like a server farm running on altruism. Across continents, children begin to price dreams not in gold, but in possibility, and discover both currencies are finally the same. 12 months glide past in a blur of keychains and passport stamps. The camera lens of memory captures vignettes. Spring. In a sun-washed classroom in Kingston, Malik demonstrates syncopated eighth notes on a loner pan. A projector streams Asha coaching via holographic avatar. Outside, a mural of the Royal Hall glints beneath the words, "Music is a human right." Early summer. The inaugural Radical Roots Festival opens in London. Bach's air melts into Afro beats. Sitar lines braid through Debussy. Ticket stubs read, "Pay what lifts you." Scalpers go extinct. Street vendors selling second-hand violins multiply. Late summer. Asha tours Chicago's South Side, unveiling a satellite Strad-Fund workshop in an abandoned library. Kids trade Call of Duty marathons for free Ableton courses. City Council fast-tracks noise ordinance exemptions for educational crescendos. Autumn. Sir Percival, now chair of mentorship, hosts a live Twitch series deconstructing Mahler symphonies in plain language. Commenters spam hearts for the segment Batten Dad Explains Bassoons. The maestro's once feared glare is now an internet meme titled Conducting Kindness. Winter. Royal Hall's Gala Anniversary concert streams in 4K to refugee camps via donated Starlink bandwidth. A Syrian teen uploads a violin cover of Lift Every Voice, tagging Asha and Malik. The clip goes viral. Strad-Fund donations spike for violins with carbon fiber bodies that can withstand desert nights. Cut to tonight, 1 year later. Chandeliers blaze over an audience half tuxedo, half school uniform. Malik, now 14 and several inches taller, stands center stage in co-pilot role, steel pan slung, confident grin, new braces sparkling under footlights. Beside him, Asha tunes her Stradivarius. The hall hushes, and banners unfurl from the balcony. "Music is a human right," an elderly donor whispers. "Remember when that was controversial?" Another replies, "Remember when it wasn't?" Then the downbeat lands, and a youth orchestra 60 players representing 21 countries launches into an arrangement of Ode to Joy spliced with reggaeton bass. The sound is outrageous, ecstatic. Marble columns seem to dance. Up in the grand tier, Sir Percival stands with 2 young mentees. He conducts from the balcony, invisible baton tracing arcs of pride. When the chorus reaches its apex, the projection screen behind the stage tallies tonight's real-time pledges. 1,000, 1,002 tone, 337. A golden digit flips. Cheers drown timpani. Backstage, crates of freshly shipped instruments await couriers bound for Lagos, La Paz, Luanda, Louisville. Each box bears a shipping label stamped "Parents, open before the child." Because in this retuned world, grown-ups are custodians of possibilities, not gatekeepers. As the final chord rings, confetti cannons puff biodegradable petals. The audience showers performers with paper cranes crafted from old ticket stock. Some cranes still show barcodes of concerts long past proof that yesterday's exclusivity can fold into tomorrow's airborne promise. Midnight cloaks Royal Hall in hush, but the stage glows with after-concert lanterns, casting soft halos on music stands and scattered petals. Technicians coil cables, volunteers stack pledge cards taller than timpani. Asha lingers alone at center stage, Stradivarius nestled under her chin. She draws a single note, low, resonant, intimate, then lets it stretch, decrescendo into silence. A fermata holds the air. Even the old building seems to breathe with her. Sir Percival appears from the wings holding 2 mugs of cocoa. He offers one. "To the longest rehearsal I've ever loved," he says. They sip in companionable quiet while crew bustle fades to distant hum. Asha gazes at the darkened tiers. "Funny," she muses, The hall feels larger now that more people fit inside. Truth expands rooms, Percival answers, surprising himself. He gestures to a fresh plaque affixed beside the proscenium arch. In gilded script, Royal Hall, Bennett Charter. Estum 2124. Below, smaller text spells the charter's core. Equal access, fair pay, zero tolerance bias, community percent, global stream. Asha traces the letters with her eyes, then snaps the violin case shut. Tomorrow we start auditions in Accra, she reminds him. Day after, Manila. Don't pack formal tales, humidity ruins them. He chuckles. I own none anymore, and pulls a knit scarf from his pocket, proof of the claim. Footsteps echo. Malik sprints on stage, clutching a sealed envelope. Courier left this, he pants. The letter bears the crest of the United Nations Educational Council. Asha opens it. Inside, an invitation. Present the Bennett model at the next UNESCO General Assembly. Malik's grin is cosmic. World tour! Asha ruffles his hair. World partnership, she corrects. Tours end. Partnerships echo. Crew lights dim to maintenance mode. Above, stars peek through the glass roof, their pale shimmer matching the plaque's gold. Asha steps to the apron, addressing the empty hall as if audiences remain. Freedom doesn't need pedigree, she says softly. Only the courage to stay in tune when the world plays sour. She bows not the brisk nod of curtain calls, but a deep, lingering gratitude. When she rises, Malik strikes a soft trill on his pan, the note floating upward like a promise. Percival lifts invisible baton, cues an imaginary ensemble, and together all three hold the silence that follows, a shared fermata over possibilities yet unwritten. Outside, the Thames murmurs under moonlight, carrying echoes of steel and string toward dawn. Soon taxis will line the curb, camera crews will chase new stories, and Strad-Fund dashboards will reset for another climb. But for this suspended heartbeat, Royal Hall rests doors open, rafters tuned to every voice that dares to enter, and the night itself seems to whisper the story's final cadence. Nothing elitist survives the moment it meets a melody composed for everyone.